Eastside, I've been caught up in the riptide, waiting on you like sunrise.
What up, YouTube fam? How we doing? Social media, what's going on? Hope everyone's having a wonderful day. It's a beautiful day here in Orlando. Florida's getting hot. It's also a beautiful day in the stock market, and where we were able to catch this panic dip buy down here at 190. All right, I think it's time to get this party started. So what's up, guys? My name is Sniper Mike. I like to introduce myself before I dive in. I am live trading right now with my community. My community is actually on the Simpler Trading website. It's an amazing community. If you haven't heard of simplertrading.com, I know some of you guys are seeing me on social media there, but if you're on my YouTube and you're seeing me, come check me out over at Simpler Trading under Stock Snipers. I'm live trading with my community. So when you see me go to the notes and all that, that's where I'm doing all this stuff. But what I'm going to do today, we have two big things we're going to do. The first thing, the most important thing, is we're going to try to make some money together. So we're going to review trades that I possibly look to take overnight. Now, that's really what I expert in. I've been trading now for over 11 years, consistently for about 8 to 9 years. And we've had a nice little streak lately. You know, we're crossing over that 500K in profits. If you want to follow every one of my trades, you can see Stock Snipers under profit.ly. But I would say about 80 to 75% of my trades come from overnight. And that's why I decided to go live today from 3 to 4. So let's dive in and let's see if we can find some money to make together. You still have to click the buttons, but my goal is to find you the stocks that can give you opportunity every day. So the first stock that you're looking at right now is not something I'm looking for overnight, but it's one that we were able to catch midday. I call it a panic dip buy. We actually bought this down at 195 and we sold it quickly up here, but look at the run now all the way up to 320. I messed this up, but honestly, the fact that we were able to catch the bottom there, I'm pretty proud of. And we're going to talk about that, but we'll go over first stocks that we're going to possibly buy overnight. So let's dive into that first. So the first one that I like, and I know today, personally for me, is a day that I should probably stay a little more patient. Why do I say that? Well, because the overall market, the SPY and the QQQ, the Dow Jones, they're flushing pretty hard today. And they've been going up for a long time. For about a month, we've been shooting up. So it feels like the market does need some sort of pull. So I'm okay with what we're seeing. Bitcoin's even getting some sort of a dip day as well. So usually when you have ugly dip days, especially with how the market's been running, it's okay to pull back a little bit. I always try to describe to myself that there's easy money out there and there's hard money out there. And you can always try to trade during hard money days. And that's the exact description of it. Things are going to be a little harder. It seems like people will hate trading if you trade always during hard days. So usually you need to stay consistent, trade every day. And when you trade every day, you're going to run into those days where you find those opportunities that just come and go. And that's what happened yesterday. We traded 3 trades overnight. And then over the weekend, we did 2 trades. And I think we won 4 out of 5 of those trades. So we've done pretty well here as the market's kind of been bouncing. But today, I'm slowing things down a little bit. Doesn't mean we're not going to buy anything. I'm actually eyeing down an option right now, which for me, I don't necessarily play options a lot. I mainly play equity because a lot of my trades are going to be penny stocks or smaller end trades. But today I do have an option that I think is a decent one to watch. And it's a high price stock that I do think looks like it should be creating a bottom soon. So look at that. We just got a little bit filled there on the way down. But McDonald's, MCD. McDonald's is on a huge dip. We're coming down from 340 all the way back down to 275. If you zoom out to the 2-year chart, you can see that the long-term support here is pretty much right here at this 276, 275 area. So that's what I wanted to hold. And we're right here right now. So that's why I said, all right, let's try some out. Now for this one, it's a little bit different than most of the plays I would play because usually you want to see an actual green candle and the candle's red here. So for me, this is more of an anticipation that we're going to actually create that first green day tomorrow. So a little more risky, usually a little, I would say not as predictable as most of my plays. So if you do like this one, you can try it out with us. If not, there are always more opportunities. But this is one of the 3 stocks that I like for possible overnight plays. There's only 3 today. It's definitely a lighter day without a doubt. The second one is this one right here, and it's BSEM. It's honestly a very light volume stock, so not necessarily my favorite either. Another one that's blah, I would say. It's not like I'm jumping out of my chair to do this. But as Nick actually is talking in the chat right now, Nick, it's nice to see you in here again. As he's popping up in the chat, he actually works for the Florida Panthers. He films and does photography for them. And BSEM is actually a biopharma stock that sponsors the Panthers. They're actually on the boards. It's interesting. So an OTC stock, but they actually are a bigger stock down in South Florida, or a bigger company down in South Florida. And you can see that when they do create trends, they know how to run. So that's all I'm looking for is the multiple green days. So will we be able to follow up back above 5 and maybe keep running? You know, you have multiple green days there. If you zoom out, you have multiple green days there. Usually I only like the first green day, but this one kind of didn't do much, and then we legged up. And then the last one that I'm eyeing down is this AMFN, and another one that I'm not jumping out of my chairs. AMFN was actually one that we bought yesterday and sold today, so we've already made our money on this one. We bought it down here at 9.5, 9.48, and then we sold it at 10.09. It went all the way to 123, which I was surprised. I only had $1,500 in this stock, but with $1,500 overnight and buying it right around here, you were able to make $250, and you could have even made $400. So that's the power of penny stocks in growing your account, is you don't need a lot to make a lot. And a lot of people have that misconception that you need all this money to make all this money. But that is not true. It's just about finding the stocks that can give you that opportunity. So now that we've lined up those 3 stocks, typically I like to do 5, and I like to write them down on my overnight watch list at 3 o'clock. So every day me and my team get together and we look to try to make some money off of one of these 5 stocks. Yesterday we made money off of 2 of them, but usually you're trying to make money off of 1 to, I don't do 5, I would say 1 to 3 at the most. But I put 5 because I always like to say everybody has a different style of trading, and I'm just showing you stocks that give you the opportunity with the risk levels in place. You then have to decide which ones fit for you, which ones you like. All right, so let's do it. So very light watch list, but how I like to do it is I put the stock first, then I put the pattern. I only trade pretty much 2 patterns. I trade 5, but really only 2 I mainly go to. The other 5 barely happen. And the one that really is the most rare, I call it the unicorn. If you were to look at my patterns, I think I literally call it the unicorn. And I'll have to put this as another example because this was a great example. We did HGREF. Now we'll have to show this one. But the panic dip buy is a straight up unicorn. And this is the unicorn. We actually we saw the unicorn today. You don't see it a lot, but today we did. All right, so getting back to McDonald's, you have a 279.25 high. And then you have support all the way down at pretty much 275. Now for this, I would look for the options. So I'm looking at call options on this. A higher price stock, I'm not going to buy equity. I'm actually going to look for call options. And I'm looking for call options this Friday. These are the ones I'm actually eyeing down. They're the 282.50 ones that expire this week. And if McDonald's gaps up, they should gap up as well. So that's why I decided to go after that one. Honestly, the McDonald's thing, I still kind of feel like it's a good long-term look too. It's starting to look like a good long-term look with how much it's down. It's a dividend stock. I'm not really somebody to advise people with long-term trading though. That's not my expertise. All right, I only have one more stock that I'm adding on here. And it's a very light volume one. So, like I said, nothing really I'm in love with. I'm probably going to go a little lighter with this McDonald's. And that's probably all we'll do here today, which is unfortunate because I only go live once a week with YouTube, and I usually want to trade with the YouTube team. We usually like to try to take stuff overnight so you guys can exactly see what I'm doing. But I think this NLST trade review will be a good one. If you do think we already did have a really good trade today, and just like you would do at any other job, you know, if you're working hard at something and then the job ends and you know you can't get paid for it anymore, you're not going to keep working really hard at it. And that's like the description of, is there anything out there that's really worth it for us? Because we've already pretty much done our work midday, which midday I don't usually do that, but the unicorn happened. So we'll talk about that in a second. So, all right, first let's review these first three stocks. We only decide to do three. I usually like to do five. Every day you usually see about five on there, but today we did three, and it's a lighter day. QQQ and SPY are dipping, so be a little careful. Wow, SPY just went green, but the QQQ, they're both kind of bouncing. QQQ still has a red candle, but surprisingly, the SPY has an actual green candle now. But all right, let's get into the three stocks. Number one is a listed larger price stock. I usually never play stocks like this, but I do feel like we've dropped big enough that if we gap up, we should create a first green day and follow up. The thing I don't love about it is the candle's red today. I would usually play it on a day where the candle's green like this. Candle's red. So it makes me more of an anticipation play. A lot more risky. It's not an actual first green day. I know it's up 0.5%, but technically it's not. But if you zoom out, we're right at that long-term support. And I would think we would bounce off these levels of long-term support. So that's more what I'm also thinking about as well. You know, we're right at these levels that we could possibly bounce off. If they come back down, we would cut it. Ideally, you would think that it would gap up using 275 as cut. And the options that I like are the ones that expire either 280 or 282.50. These are the ones I actually have some at 58 already. So I already bought 10 at 58, looking to buy one more. I'll probably buy a couple more if it comes down a little more. But we did grab some down here. We're at 55. It was 55 and 58, 5 and 5. So technically 56 our average. And we'd probably risk 30 or 20. So risking 50%. You do risk a little more when it comes to options. But ideally, we look for that gap up. And the reward would be, you know, if it does bounce back to even highs, you'd be above $1, so you'd win 100%. So options typically, like I said, are things I don't do a lot. But today it seems like one of the things I think might be worth it to try just a little bit, but nothing too crazy, not too big of a size there. The other one I think is pretty decent is this AMFN. But honestly, all of these are like half-ass. Yesterday, this one looked really good. Today, it's even more extended. It's holding the breakout spot, which is 10 cents. So at the end of the day, it's still holding, but I'm not sure if that's one that I'll go after. The volume's so light. And the same thing with BSEM. You know, I mean, this one is at least you have a clear support of 480, meaning it hasn't dropped below 480 almost all day. So you can use that as cut, but the volume is just so light. It's not even at 1 million. So I don't know. There's just not as much going on today, unfortunately. So harder money. So we'll hang around, we'll watch these for a little bit, and then I'll also, after that, show you exactly what happened with NLST and how I screwed it up a little bit. But honestly, be prepared. Look at this wick. There's probably going to be a lot more that's going to come out of this stock. I mean, maybe it continues tomorrow, the next day, because shorts are probably all messed up here. But there will be probably another panic. So I think going over this will be really good stuff to learn. All right, we just got our last one filled down there at 52. So I'm not going to really try to do any more here. Oh, yeah, we'll do one more on that McDonald's. Honestly, for this one, I might hold a little longer than I usually like. But I do feel like if I hold by the end of the week, we'll get a bounce. I'm going to use 30 as cut, 25 as cut. So I'm willing to risk 50%, meaning like $200. It's fine with me. So we'll buy small amounts looking for that gap up. Usually, me personally, I like to buy dips, meaning dips are discounts. I mean, this is a whole different kind of dip because of what we're falling. But as you can see, we did pretty good with that NLST dip. This thing is free falling again. See if this last one fills us. This will be the last one I definitely get. But I'm getting it down at 50, which makes my average come down a little more. If you aren't familiar with options, so usually what I recommend is to do this later on. If I were just starting up with my strategy, I would just start up at first with the first two patterns, which are just first green days and multi-month breakouts, and just try to repeat those over and over and over again. And obviously, every once in a while, you'll see these come around. Then you start to pick up those. Then you eventually get into options because options get a little confusing. If you've never done options before, what you do is you would click here, you click on the options button, and you have a whole group of options that you can choose from. That's a whole different story. Like I said, I probably wouldn't recommend going after it now if you haven't done anything like that yet. But not as much happening right here. Let's see if this holds this last 275 spot. Technically, 275 is where it bottomed out earlier. We'll see if it can happen again. Can 275 turn into that support level for this week? What do you guys got? Himony was profiting earlier on that NLST short. Anything else? WOKAEHL. So we'll start to look at some other stuff, and then we'll get into that quick little review of the panic dip buy. I'll show you exactly how it worked because now it doesn't look like this is a crazy looking one. But I remember we brought that one up earlier, so good watcher there. AEHL, that's actually a nice little morning momentum play. And that happened all really early. How I missed that one. That was a good find there. NPWR. Okay. I don't know what this is. Net Power, energy stock. It's up. I'll keep it pulled up. What about the quantum stock earlier? QUBT, it gapped up huge and it just came back down all day. That was ugly. It might turn around eventually and create that real first green day soon, so I'll alert it. But no quantum stocks really got started because of that, but it looked like they were going to, and then what happened there? We do have one stock this week that will look for a morning momentum play, and that's BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed usually, maybe tomorrow or the next day, you look for that curl back up and a squeeze. This is a former runner that gapped up 110% with earnings this morning, BZFD. They had some AI news last time they spiked like crazy a couple years ago. It like woke back up out of nowhere, went from $3 to $17. So I know it's a stock that's known to spike. That's for sure. But no, not too much. AMFN is holding that huge buyer at 1.0. The one really good thing that I love about OTC stocks is usually you can see when there's big buyers and big sellers if you have this is the level 2 and then the time of sales up. And earlier today when it dropped down to 10 cents, it literally touched 10 cents right here. And after it bounced off that spot, you saw there was a huge 400K buyer. So if anything, that was a good spot to risk off of. I just don't like this one because I tried it yesterday, and we're already 20% higher, or I guess 10% now. But it was down at 9 cents yesterday. All right, so that one we'll kind of stay away from. But if you do like it, 10 would have to be your cut there. A good analogy of today, and I always kind of go back to it, so you've probably heard about it before, but I like to say it's the taxi cab analogy. And what the taxi cab analogy means is that say you're a taxi driver and you are working or whatever you are, you just have to work every day for your money. So you're someone that works for yourself, but you have to work every day for your money. And you work every single day to make $150 or $200 because you know that's going to pay your bills. So you work Monday to Friday, $200, so you make $1,000 a week because that's going to pay your bills. So Monday through Thursday, it takes you 5 hours because it's weekdays to make that if you're a taxi. So you do your 5 hours and then you eventually stop. On Friday, it only takes you 1 hour to make that $200 because it's really busy Friday, about to be the weekend. So you only work 1 hour and you leave. The smartest person and the person that's going to get the most out of it, the person that's going to probably make the most in the market too, is that taxi driver that decides to take those days off, Monday to Thursday, enjoy their life until there is that moment where Friday comes. And instead of leaving on that first hour, you just stay there all day on Friday. And just like you would do on Monday to Thursday, stay there. Instead, stay there all day Friday. And that will pay you for all month pretty much. So picking and choosing those decisions are very, very big. And the taxi cab analogy, I feel like, is a really good comparison to trading without a doubt, in my opinion. The tattoo artist. Chris is a tattoo artist. It's the same thing. I mean, not the same exact thing, but very similar. My dad is an artist as well. He does art for boats. So that's where I've learned this from. You know, my dad was always one of those people that he owned his own business, and I've always been one of those people that want to do my own thing, not don't like having a boss in front of me, don't like hearing what telling me what to do. And tattoo artist, that's the exact job that you can do that. But with that job and a service job, there's only X amount you can put out. Whatever you charge, you can only put out X amount. And that's what you can make for that day. You know, my dad being an artist for boats, he can only do X amount of boats in a day before he tires out or before the sun just goes down. Can't do it anymore. Things close down. So that's what he always pushed on me. It was like he always loves what he does and he still does. He posts about it all the time. You should be really passionate about what you do. And he is. He's beautiful art. He does a really good job. He's done Charles Schwab's boat, like actual Charles Schwab. The guy named his boat Free Trade. He literally named his boat Free Trade. Yeah, Chris, you'd appreciate his stuff. You got to follow him. It's under Teeto Signs on Instagram. He's always posting his art and stuff. He doesn't have a following, but he's a really well-known name in South Florida. It's really cool. He's a one-man show. My older brother helps him do stuff now, but he does vinyl. He's actually spray painting today. I was talking to him earlier. He does a lot of spray paint work as well. But yeah, let me link him up. Let me put a little bonus for my dad there. But yeah, Teeto Signs, he's got his own business. So, but he always showed me that you could only get X amount out of what you put out of that day. And unfortunately, as great of a work he is, like he literally is airbrushing for 3 days. He's on his third day of an airbrush job, but he can only charge what he can charge. He's gonna make a lot for that. Airbrush jobs aren't cheap. Now everyone's cheap and does vinyl, which he does that, of course. But when you're doing hand painting stuff, it becomes a little more pricey. And then he does gold leaf. But yeah, it's great stuff. I learned a lot from it, but that definitely taught me. And exactly like Chris is doing right now, he's trying to add on to his everyday job that he's probably very passionate about and he loves to do. Because you don't want to let that go. You want to always. That's the whole purpose of life. But that extra money sometimes can get you really far. And then it's just compounding from there. And you're compounding, you're compounding, you're compounding. So yeah. So that's what we're looking to do. The taxi cab analogy, I would say today is a weekday. It's a slower day. I'm still going to try things because I've done really well this week. Maybe I shouldn't be trying things. Maybe today I probably should pull back because we've done already well this week. But I think I've done well enough to risk a little bit on a possible try. But that's a hot hand kind of thing. And if you know psychology and dopamine, I probably shouldn't try anything today. But we're gonna go for it. Nice. It looks like we have a great group of people in here. I love that we're seeing that. How do I like PL, VSTS? Let's go YouTube and social media. We're getting a lot of people asking about certain tickers, so we're going to talk about those because we don't have a lot today. Somebody said, why do I like McDonald's? It's because it's lining up. No, it's because I love the cheeseburgers. No, I'm kidding. It's because it's lining up with one of my patterns, and one of my patterns would be a first green day. I know it's technically the candle is not green, so like I said, I'm anticipating my play to happen tomorrow, meaning hopefully it holds 275 tomorrow and we actually spike back above 278. But I think we're just down so much in a recent amount of time that we're due for at least a bounce. Doesn't mean it has to happen. Like speculative. I would say a big thing that I want to point out to YouTube and the people that are just meeting me right now, because I definitely will sound sketchy, and anybody that meets new traders usually sounds sketchy. But if you look at every one of my trades, the win ratio is 60%, actually 59%. So I'm not going to win all of my trades. We're just out here shooting ideas and looking for wins. But the bigger part about this is knowing how to handle your losses. So making sure that if you do lose, you're going to make them small. So in a situation like this, I only have $500 on the call options. If I lose the whole thing, I lose 500. I'll still be up nicely on the week. I don't plan on losing the whole thing. I plan on losing half at the most, which would be like 250. So, but honestly, if it does work out and this gaps up to 280, I'll make probably 500. So it's got a good enough risk to reward, in my opinion, to go after it. And I do have a whole course on how I handle risk and reward and what I look for and all that stuff. But that's really what I'm looking for there. And it's not the best example for you guys. I'm sorry. Nice. Yeah, somebody said I like that indicator. It shows energy buildup. I honestly say that usually if things are going to close really strong, they're going to open really strong. And a great example I would say is over the weekend. Let's show you the trade that we took over the weekend to Monday. But if you were to look at this trade, it's called SIDU. This is CDU. It's a space stock. Space stocks just recently went crazy because Rocket Labs, which is the leader in the space stocks, went absolutely nuts and spiked like crazy for 3 days. So once on this day that it spiked, if you did any other space stock, it worked out. CDU was the one we did. And if you zoom into the day, I always like to say if things can close strong, they're going to most likely open strong if you could find the right stocks. It's not like everything closes strong. And that's why McDonald's, I'm not really too familiar with larger stocks. I don't do the best with them. I don't usually trade them. I'm usually trading smaller stocks. So like a little more speculative here, but with that McDonald's. But this is a good example. CDU, we bought really midday at 318, 320, and it held 315 all day. So you have the risk level in place. Usually I don't like to buy until about 2:33, the end of the day. But today, this one I went after because the space stocks were so hot. And this was the only one that gave us some sort of mini dip while the space stocks kept running. And as it held all day, it closed very strong, meaning it closed at high a day. It didn't do much after hours, but since it closed so strong, I like to call it a water hose. And when that water hose eventually opens back up, it completely goes out. So that's kind of the comparison that I like to say with these trades. A huge move there overnight. Oh, McDonald's is still dipping here. It looks like we have a couple other tickers. VSTS. Let's check out VSTS and then PL. I've never seen PL before. PL is a larger priced one. Is it Planet 13? I think it's a company that has Planet 13 in it. Planet Labs? I mean, yeah, we're up there by 52-week highs. Doesn't look terrible. It's definitely hanging out up here. I don't necessarily say it's one of a pattern that I'd go after, but yeah. I mean, this was probably the breakout. Now it's kind of just hanging out there. I don't know. I'm not in love with that one. I usually like to have a stock that's up, 10, 15%, because that means it could usually go up 10 to 15% the next day. That's why for McDonald's, I'm looking at the options and not the actual stock. The VSTS is up 100%. 20%. So this would be one a little more interesting, but also a big gap up. Look at this huge gap up. This is where it's coming from, all the way down here, and it's all the way up there. So that's very risky in my opinion. I usually like to see the chart flow, stick together. Gaps usually fill, and this is a good example. This is a gap up and it filled. So usually any healthy chart that has a gap up fills eventually. That's just my opinion on it. It doesn't have to happen right away. Sometimes it'll happen way later on, but that is just something I want everyone to note today. If they don't learn anything, try to note that most gaps eventually fill. It might be a year later, it might be a month later, it might be the next day. So be careful with gaps, and that's a big gap there. Other than that, though, if you don't like anything here today, because this McDonald's is starting to look a little scrappy, if there is nothing that is as interesting today, the beautiful thing about trading is every day is a new day. And tomorrow morning, we're going to have a whole new group of morning watchers. Every day I like to try to create. So I go live in the morning and I go live in the afternoon, twice a day. And in the morning, I try to look for morning moves and I put them on the morning watchers. So we've already got some created here. We'll look for more as the day goes. I put NLST twice because I probably thought it was going to panic dip by, then it actually did. Now we're looking for the first red day since it's already made that move. I just think so many people are shorting NLST that it actually might follow up tomorrow. That'd be great. Catch all these shorts. Other than that, with the light day today, we'll see. I'll still do my scans after hours and see if I could find anything. But definitely seems like a day that you want to be a little more patient here. This AMFN is still holding that 10-cent spot that it came down to. There was 400K down here at 10 cents. 400K buyer. So I think that's like 40,000 that was just sitting there. So you would need $40,000 to break through it, which right now it doesn't look like it's happening. McDonald's more dip. Might not be the best decision here, but that's all right. Let's see what happens. I mean, look at the decline here from March. Since it gave out its last dividend on March 2nd. March 2nd to May 12th, we've fallen from 340 to 275. The It looks like it wants to test 275 again, so we'll see if it can hold that level. But that is definitely the bottom you want to see it hold. All right, let's see what happens if it tests 275 here. I'm still going to risk it for the gap up no matter what. So yeah, let's start to kind of organize the morning watch list a little bit. So we'll do Wednesday. We got to keep watching BuzzFeed to possibly turn around for that morning momentum squeeze. So we'll keep an eye on that one. We'll see if maybe NLST gives us another panic tomorrow. And I think it might be that time to start to review the panic. I mean, we'll keep watching the McDonald's. I'm going to use this to try to see if we can follow up tomorrow. But we're actually about to go red, red. Not what we wanted to see. I call this having the hot hand. When you do win a lot, sometimes you just want to just trade because you feel like everything's going to be right. It's like when you're in the casino and you're just hitting, and you don't want to leave. Today was a day I knew to probably be patient, but doesn't mean we're going to lose here, but not looking promising on the way down. Let's see how it deals with 275. Technically, that is the support. AMFN, there's that big buyer. So you remember how I was talking about that huge buyer? He just popped back in, disappeared again, but you can see they popped back in. So that dip down to 10 was actually perfect there. Let's see if it keeps holding. There's only 20 minutes left here. So speaking of NLST, we're gonna get into that, I think now, the panic dip buy. A big part of this panic dip buy that I do want to show is we actually had a huge overnight over the weekend win where we bought it here and was able to sell all the way up here. So that is where it all started. And then it went even more, which after that point I felt like we were overextended. Let me see if I could send this video over through email because I actually have a full video recording of this. And I definitely want to try to get it over. I don't know if it's going to go over, though. Hold on 1 second. I'm not using on here. All right, nice. I think it might let me log in on the other computer. Give me 1 second. I want to go over. I actually have a nice live view of this trade here. So give me 1 second. We're going to change screens here. Hold on 1 second. Okay. No, this computer's going so slow now. This is going to be good. So we're going to go live. I'm going to show you exactly how this trade worked out so you guys can learn, because it probably is going to happen again. All right, I think I got it. Nice. It worked. It worked. And let me get it on my other screen too. All right. Okay, so it worked for, I think, both of the groups. So you guys should see a screen recording now. And I'm going to take you into some live trading here. And we're going to see how this panic dip buy looked live and in person. So check this out. This is NLST as it's falling. So if you were with me in the chat live, you saw that I said $2 was the spot I liked it at. I said we still need it to fall. As it started to get to 2, I started to film it because I was like, oh, this is getting interesting. So let's watch the panic and exactly what happened here as we fall down. So we're getting close to 2. Let's continue to watch live as this falls. So if you look at the last breakout, the 1-year breakout here is 193. So what do I decide to do? I'm going to put a limit in. We're falling hard. I'm also at lunch. So my service is absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible right now. So it's scary. Oh, damn it. Hold on. Hold on. It looks like it stopped recording. Give me 1 second. I paused the recording. Don't worry. Damn, McDonald's is back to 275. Wow. Very surprising. It actually hit 275. Let's see if it holds it. If you do like the options, this is usually where you'd like it. Or if you like the stock, I always say dips are the spots you'd want to get into it. Try not to get too scared at point moments like these. These are the moments that you do want to try to jump in. All right, I'm sharing my screen one more time. We'll try to go over this. It's a 5-minute video, but I'll try to be quick. I don't know why it's cutting off. But so this is it right here. We're still falling. Unfortunately, the service isn't the best where I'm at, so I know I have to make a reaction and I got to make it quick. So I put the limit in at 195. I'm letting the panic come down to me. Instead of going up and getting the panic, I am literally letting the panic come down to me. And it's coming down. It's coming lower and lower. Are we going to get filled? We're just letting hope be in our side. And at that point, we use 180 as cut. We usually risk about 10% on panics. So I got a nice 180 area, one about 75 areas cut. And we're going to see, can we bounce off this spot? I'm thinking about moving the bid up because I'm like, all right, do I move it up to 2? Do I really have to smack it here? Is it going to come down to me? Nope. It comes right to me. And that's the beauty of a lot of experience of day trading is I've been doing this now for a while. So there's the first buy. I do buy some more too as it starts to break back above 2. And McDonald's is holding 275 right now, which is nice to see. But as it starts to break back above 2, I want to buy more. I'm thinking that if we are going to break back up, we're going to get the power now. So let's go for it. So let's see when the buyers are going to come in. Right now, we're not having buyers. I'm getting a little nervous. Do I sell it or do I have to buy it? Remember? What was that support as I zoom in to look at it? Technically, I guess 150 would be the next really big spot. And I only put light size right now. So I was debating how much more am I going to add in if I have to add more. But right off that 180 spot, only down very minimal. We're going to start adding more if it starts to bounce. I'm ready to start buying. Boom, we add more. And I also try to add some more. You can see the buyers start to come in. So very key to pick up on the level 2s here. Buyers are starting to come in. I'm trying to buy more. And then my service eventually goes out. Watch. But I do get a little more here. So this is when momentum has now shifted. You want to be on that side of the momentum. We're buying more. It missed me. It skipped me. As things are skipping you, you know we're bouncing. At the same time, you have to use low a day as cut. It fills me. Now we got the 193 fill. And we're rolling. I eventually try to add some more, but my service goes out at the place I'm at. It's like, what timing is this? And then my service goes out the whole time we start to bounce. And honestly, I just try to sell it when the service comes back, but you'll see the service eventually just cuts out on me when I'm trying to start to look at the sell screen. So here is where things get a little interesting, and this is where day trading does get a little risky on your phone. Not being in the exact best spot. Damn, McDonald's is making new lows here. So at this point, I can't even see what's going on. So we're blind trading. Very risky. Very, very, very risky. But I did feel comfortable with the spot I have. And that's huge to realize. Oh, sorry. That was still going. I'm just trying to look at McDonald's. And there we go. It opens back up. And now we're rolling a little more. And I go to sell it again. And then once again, it doesn't work. So the service was just acting up. I was like, 210, do we do this? I don't think I should do it just yet. You know, you can see there's a clear bounce as of right now. And then I start to sell off right here pretty much. And as I start to sell, it pretty much takes us into that spike. And we will take it. I mean, I did terrible selling there because if you do look at the whole scheme of things, look at the actual bounce to this. Oh, man, it's sickening to even think of. So left about $1,000 on the table. So even though we made that, $300-400 win, left about $800 there on the table. But it's just a great example of a panic dip buy, and that'll most likely happen again. So that's a big, big, big thing that I want everyone to realize is this will probably happen again, as you can see from this panic. It looks scary as it's happening, but if you get on the right side of it, you're good. The big part is not being early like this person at 250, but how do you not be early? You have to pick key spots. Experience is key, but also picking key spots is also key, and then staying patient to that. Not being like, oh, I got to get in. It's not going to come down to my 2 spot. It's going to be 250. Because if you go back to the chat, so let me actually move you guys back to the other screens now. So just give me 1 second. I'll open up both other screens now. All right. So as we get back into these screens, if you look at the actual text, we were talking about it all day. And it started at 12:30. It was beautiful. And that's exactly when the panic started if you look at the daily chart. So, I mean, it started before 12:30, but that's when you needed to start watching it, at least, in my opinion. And eventually it makes new lows. That first crack was huge, so I start to say that's the area I'm looking for was $2. And then the next big thing I put up and why I put my limit at 195 area is the breakout in the past. And usually if you come back to the breakout, you can follow up. And I mean, that was nothing but beautiful. And then dang it, because I thought that we missed it because of the first bounce, but I said nice bounce there, but let's get one more flush. And that's at this point, 12:33, we get one more flush. And that's it, baby. We're going after it. Bang, bada, bing. It was too quick for me to alert because I was also at the restaurant too, but That's got to be something that, we're going along in the chat. So SPAIF. Oh, that's that energy one. I forgot about SPAIF. Let me see what that one's doing. All right, let's get back into our afternoon. We only have 7 minutes left. McDonald's did hold 275, so at least that's good to see. Hopefully it bounces into the close. AMFN, if anyone caught down by 10, they're looking good for a possible gap up. BSEM as well. I mean, it doesn't look like anything special, but it's still holding its spot as well. So it's nice to see we have some movers here. SPAIF, what the hell just happened there? Look at McDonald's is trying to spike. Yeah, that's a decent one. SPAIF, I'll keep that up. That'll actually be a good one for tomorrow too for a breakout, if it can continue, because it hasn't continued in a while. So I like that. Good find there. And then I got a couple first red days for tomorrow. I'm pissed that we missed that SNDK, but that one was a little harder to go after. It didn't really gap up. But what about Poet? POET. What is going on in Poet? NLST is going to close up by 320. What an absolutely amazing run. But Poet is either going to be a big breakout tomorrow or a short. But honestly, it looks, now that I look at it, it actually looks like a breakout because it hasn't quite panicked. It came from 7, 15 back to 7, 7 back to 15. Shorts are probably all over it, but watch, it's going to hold and break out. So let me change it to a breakout at first. I want to watch it break out first. And then after that, maybe we'll look to short it. So if you open up the long-term, if you open up the morning watch list for tomorrow, it's not that locked and loaded because of the slower day it had today. But the beauty is we're still trying to find opportunity and trying something out like we are in McDonald's. Yeah, I don't know how Poet's been doing what it has. It's crazy. That restaurant that I was just at for lunch, the manager like buys Poet and sells Poet. I started to call him Shakespeare. But he loves that stock. It's funny. I don't know what the heck's going on there. RXT is a big squeezer too. Look at this breakout. Space stock that's starting to continue to break out. Beautiful to see there. But tomorrow morning, this is our small watch list for now. You have McDonald's that we'll continue to watch, obviously, because we're in it. It's holding at 275. So if we hold 275 tomorrow, we're in the gold. If we gap up tomorrow, or at least start up here, we're really in the gold, which that's what I'm hoping for. NLST, we saw what happened. We just reviewed what happened. Look how much it bounced. It can easily panic again. So I'll have my alerts ready. It starts with some selling, and then after that, you see what happens. Emotions take over. There was no way that should have happened, but emotions took over. It also had earnings call today, so it kind of fell after the earnings call as well, which is pretty big. Earnings will do that to you. But it completely recovered. We'll have BuzzFeed tomorrow. This one, usually, if you can hold your key levels, you can possibly squeeze. So let's say right around 133, we'll put a line there and see if it can hold that. And then we have this Co-OPN. It's not as good as a first red day because it already is down. But it did bounce a little bit. This is a pretty extended one too. I think it's too extended. Some of these stocks are so extended right now, and these cause panics. And then the panics cause possible dips. But the greatest part about it is if you're like Himini and you actually catch the short, because we only do one short pattern, and that short pattern would be a first red day, which would be this exact move for NLST. And it's back below 3, so I do think we're going to panic tomorrow. I can't see it holding up. I mean, maybe it holds up for one more day because there's so many people that are shorting it today. But we'll see. We'll have a fun time with that soon. And then we have that SPAIF. That's a lighter volume stock that just popped up. But since it popped up, it's right at that, resistance. If it follows up, you see what happens when we've followed up in this stock. So I'm not going to jump the gun on it right now, but it does have some news this morning and it's holding. All right, though, but that's really where we're going to close it out. Great work, YouTube team. I love that we had a lot of questions today, and social media team. I love that people were out there asking questions. If you guys are interested like that, we trade every single day together on the Simpler Trading website under Stock Snipers. You can try it out. There's a $7 trial, actually. It's a beautiful thing to do. It's cheaper than a coffee to come try it out, possibly catch a big win with us like we did overnight over the weekend. And then we'll see what happens with this MCD. We are slightly down right now, but everything's intact. As long as we hold 275, we'll keep watching it. It's a listed stock. I'm not taking the actual stock. I'm taking equity. So I do have to wait all the way till 9:30 tomorrow. I mean, I'm taking option, not equity. So I have to wait all the way till tomorrow morning for a possible move. That SPAF's getting a little spike into the close. We'll see what happens tomorrow there. That is definitely one that'll be fun to watch. Too light volume to close the day on this weird spike, but that's a nice spike there. All right, 1 minute left. It looks like McDonald's going to close right at that support level, unfortunately, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. That is the goal. Hopefully we get that bounce. If not, we're only down a little bit, so we'd probably sell exactly where we are at. If anybody's in that AMFN, still a little spread, but nice bounce off the 10.5 spot. Very light day today. Hopefully tomorrow we get more, but you never know what's going to happen. Just like NLST today, you just got to make sure you show up every single day. Not the best close by McDonald's there. But all right, guys. That's where I'm going to head out. We will see everybody tomorrow. For the YouTube team, we'll see you guys next week. If you guys want to join the team, would love to have you. See you maybe tomorrow morning, tagging bags with us. All right, guys. Much love. I enjoyed hanging out with you guys today.